Okay, welcome guys to the January Ad Club training. I'm Kevin Hutto, your host, and this month what we're going to do is we are going to go over a set of ads and a way of doing ads that accomplishes a certain goal. I call this Feed Dominator, and the purpose of these ads is so that you can become like everywhere in your market and take over the feed, hence the name Feed Dominator. And it's kind of like the way that we do the Hydra, in that, you know, the Hydra has the 17 videos plus the 30 days in a life. This is similar, except what it is done with image ads instead. And there's two main reasons that we use this for our clients and in the marketplace. Number one is it's a way for the client to have lots and lots of ads in the marketplace, and for them to sort of feel like they are taking over the feed. And then that's our new puppy Callie in the background. Why don't you let her out? Screw it. All right, you know what? I guess the two dogs will fight if we do that, won't they? Okay, let her out. Let's see what happens. You guys get to see the inner workings of how this goes. This is my daughter's poodle. What's it called? A golden poodle?
Golden doodle.
Golden doodle. And so there, she's like pain in my rectum. But anyways, so the number one reason is so that you take over the feed and sort of feel like you're everywhere. And then the second reason that we do it this way is that it's a really quick way to get lots of ad creative out there that is very efficient, but also feels like there's a lot of you out there in the marketplace. And so the method is like this. I'm going to kind of explain what we've got. So the first thing that you have is like this base piece of copy, which is like the base or the core of the ad. Okay, and this is the piece that is like well written. It's usually like 300 to 400 words, and it's like explaining, who you are, what you're doing, that kind of thing. So it's like I'm looking for coaches who want to scale up their coaching business over the next 12 months. That's like the Talkie More ad, which I'll use. I'll do another video with some examples of this. But you got to write that base piece of copy. Dirty Harry would work for that. Possibly you need to tweak the opening a little bit. But ultimately, it needs to be something that is going to move them into filling out the application for you. I don't recommend that this be like a full ISS ad, 1,200 words. The base copy needs to be like 300 to 500 words, okay? And it needs to just compel them to the thing. Then, on top of the base ad, you have the lead, and then below it down here, you have the creative. Okay? So what you do, and how I do this, is you rotate the lead and creative and duplicate the base core ad every time. And so how I came up with this method was I was trying to create lots and lots of new ads for clients every month, and eventually there's only so many ways that you can write something, right? It's like if you're doing this same thing and you've written 8 ads a month for the last 10 months or something, you've written 80 different ads for the client. There's only so many ways you can say it until you start running out. So I came up with this idea of the main part being the same every time, but just changing the creative and the lead to give you some variety so that it feels like a different ad every time, but the real advertisement is the same. It's just like Geico. Great example. Geico, will save you 15% or less on your car insurance. That's their ad, right? But they have the Geico Gecko, they have the Cavemen, they have all the different ones. There's tons and tons and tons of different creative that they've used to get your attention, and then they make their pitch and their call to action. So this is kind of the same. The way this works is very similar to that. So like what you do and how the method works is you're going to use 8 different versions of this right here, and you're going to have it be creative 1, lead 1, creative 2, lead 2, like that. So what you have is maybe it's better to show you on a different page. You'll have your base ad, and then how I do it is I find an image that sort of speaks to me. And so this will be, image number 1. And then after I find image number 1, I'll think of, so this is getting complicated with all these markers. So this is like your base ad here, right? And then what I'll do is I'll think of some sort of lead for the ad. So the lead is like the first line. It's the first, and in this case it can be like 2 or 3 lines, but it's basically what grabs your attention. It's the hook. It's the idea, the angle for the ad, right? That's what the lead is about. It kind of draws you in, right? So what I'll do is I will come up with lead 1 that matches up with creative 1. So this should, I guess, be C1, right? So then the next thing I'll do is I'll look through and find, this is the base is the same, and then I'll find another image, and then I'll write another lead based on that image. And I do that 8 times, okay? And so this is base, this is base, this is base. All right, so what we do is I've got this base already done, and all I do, just so you know, is I will look through the client's page and find different interesting images. That's it. I'm just looking for images that grab my attention, that I see it, and it doesn't have to be like them at the beach or anything like that. It can be just anything, just weird images, right? And so, and then what I'll do, my part of the work, obviously I wrote the base ad, so that's another part of the work. But then what I'll do is I'll take that image and I'll come up with a lead for it, for all these. Okay? And so the base of the ad is the hard work that was done originally to figure out, what works. Then I find these images on the page, and then I write leads for each of them, and that gives me 8 different ads that I have that I'll run for the next month. And what I do that I think is a really nuanced piece of this, that I think that depending on the client or yourself, you may or may not be able to do this, but I find that, were you saying something, Jenna? Okay. I find that it works really well is I find images that I can make fun of the client with. And so, I think that using some self-deprecating humor in your advertising is a really powerful way to get people to like you and to get your attention. And so I'll give you an example. Like one of I can give you, some of you guys know Taki more. The images that I found in his feed, he has all these crazy images in there. And so, like, one of the images was him, and he was wearing this camera. And so I cropped off the camera part and made it look like, because the way he was wearing it, it was like around his shoulder. And I made it look like it was a purse. And then I, made fun of it being a merce and all this sort of stuff. And that obviously pulled like crazy. People loved it. They're like, it creates this interesting thing. So what I did is, obviously the base ad is the same every time. So I don't change that at all. But what I was able to do is I was able to take, I'll give you some of the ideas of the different ones that I did. So this was the MERS ad that I did. Another one that Taki had was this picture of, and I don't know that I can draw this correctly. I'm not an artiste, but maybe that's it. So another one that he had was this squirrel. And so I did some funny stuff about the squirrel. And then, what were the other ones? There's a picture of Taki on a Vespa, and he's like standing there, and it reminded me of the scene in Dumb and Dumber when Lloyd Christmas is on that little scooter, and he's like, this hog gets 80 miles to the gallon, and just made me think about that. So that was Taki's Vespa ad. And so, it just, so I wrote the thing like, this Vespa's not going to ride itself, or this hog's not going to ride itself, or something like that. And did all these different ones. I did one with an elephant that Taki was riding that I thought was interesting that did not work, because clearly people do not want people riding elephants anymore, because there was a big backlash on that. I did one with, what were the other ones? One was like, something about a turtle flying or something like that. I guess that's a turtle. And so there was one with the turtle flying. And the point of it all is that people immediately were like, Taki, you're all over my newsfeed like crazy, right? And so the idea is that the first 3 lines were like, it was a picture of Ethan, and he was holding this turtle out, and I don't think he was throwing it, but it looked kind of like he was throwing it from the nest. And so the ad was like, fly, turtle, fly. But sadly, the turtle can't fly because he's a turtle and not a bird, and all this stuff. But rather than making turtles fly, what I can do is make your business fly, because I'm looking for coaches that want to scale up, blah, 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 blah. And so what you do is you write the funny lead, or it doesn't have to be funny. If you're not funny, don't do it, right? I mean, it helps that I am able to like make fun of people very easily. It's something that is like one of my superpowers, is ridiculing other people. So it is very simple for me to be able to write these ads. If that's not your strength, then pay somebody to do it, or just write serious ads, but use this same methodology, right? But one of the real keys to this is that you have the lead, and then you need to transition into, need to have a sentence that transitions you into the base ad, right? So the beginning of the ad for Taki, I think, is like, I'm looking for coaches who want to scale in 2019, something like that. So I give like the funny part at the beginning, but then I also have this I always have this transitional sentence that moves into the main copy. So it's like, this squirrel knows how to handle his nuts, or something like that. But what he doesn't know how to do is scale a coaching business. But I do. I'm talking more, blah, 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 something like that. Like like there needs to be that transitional sentence that moves it from talking about a squirrel into talking about scaling a coaching business. And it can be heavy-handed and funny and dorky in and of itself. That's fine to do it that way itself, but ultimately there has to be that transition. So I guess that's one thing that I need to put here. So there's the lead, there's the base, there's the creative down here, but having that little transition sentence. Sorry, I've got this bone spur in my hand, so it makes it hard for me to do this. But there is, I guess, this little magic piece here of right in here that I hadn't thought of until just this very moment. But there is this little transition piece that needs to happen between the lead, which might be about something else, into the base copy. So what, this is kind of the method. Again, the reason why that you want to do this is it gives you, I'm supposed to tell you why first, but I'm going to tell you why last. One, it gives you like feed dominance, like you take over. If you combine this with Hydra, somebody who does anything with your ads ever or sees you is going to feel like you have just taken over. Number two is it gives you speed, right? So like I created those 8 different ads for Taki in about an hour, maybe less than that. Maybe it was like 30, 40 minutes. But speed, like to write 8 good ads with creative and all the stuff for a client, that's like either you're paying like, $1,000 or more for a copywriter to do that for you, and the time and all the stuff, and it takes a lot of time to do it. You can do this, literally in an hour or 2 each month. And the third thing is it keeps your creative refreshed, which is a big key for Facebook ads, that you don't want your stuff to get tired and the frequency to start getting too high. So the prescription would be to do the Feed Dominator ads every month, to do 8 of those. So that's it. That is the first video, and then I'll do a practical video showing you some of the examples of this.